Good morning.
Good day.
You all are standing at the.
You to give me breakfast cookie. No, huh? Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're comfortable.
Hi.
My name is Michael Molina. I'm here with my colleague Stephen Crochet. As you heard, we represent the Bishop John T. Walker School for Boys. We are a tuition-free Episcopal kindergarten through fifth grade school. We are located at 1801 Mississippi Avenue in Southeast DC. We are proud to be here with you and thankful because the Episcopal Diocese of Washington generated a Bishop Walker School about 15 years ago out of the will to do good in the world beyond its traditional borders and to extend the good that you know probably as the Episcopal school tradition at schools like Beauvoir, NCS, and St. Albans across the Anacostia to a side of town that hasn't had educational opportunity like those that I mentioned. And so the Episcopal Diocese of Washington generated the Bishop Walker School to honor John T. Walker, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Bishop Walker School exists because of the diocese, but it grew because of parishes like Christ Church and individuals like many of you here who have given of time, talent, and treasure to make sure that this mission came to fruition and became the school that it is today. We are excited to say that the first graduates of the Bishop Walker School, who started as junior kindergartners in 2008, are now young men starting their lives, either in college or in business or whatever it is that they imagine and aspire for themselves. That's a great milestone that we have reached, and we'll be celebrating that milestone at our annual dinner this year. We are also blessed because we are in the namesake of Bishop John T. Walker. So why would a school be created in this man's honor? If you're not familiar with Bishop Walker, John Walker, John Walker was the first African-American student at the Virginia Theological Seminary in the 1950s. We're talking Brown versus Board of Education. We're talking the very beginning of integration in the United States. And here was a man who became the first African-American student at the Virginia Theological Seminary. He didn't stop there. He became the first African-American teacher at St. Paul's School in New Hampshire, Episcopal School, a venerable boarding school. It's been around for many decades. He was the first African-American teacher there. And then he went on to become many things in the Diocese of Washington and ultimately the bishop, the first African-American bishop of the Diocese of Washington. But we don't honor people just because they were first in line. We honor people because whatever station, whatever position they find themselves in, they do great things. And so Bishop Walker, in those positions of being the first, by all accounts, did so with grace, did so with courage, did so with boldness and humility, did so as if he was carrying not just his own aspiration and his own ambition, but those of God, to change places, to move places forward in progress. So as he accumulated these firsts and some measure of power, he advocated for things that needed to be advocated for or against. He spoke out, preached, and marched against apartheid in South Africa. He advocated for women in the priesthood, which I'm sure you appreciate. We should. Can you imagine leaving 50% of humanity's brilliance to the sideline when we're talking about leading communities to the spiritual life? I think that was a good aspiration that he helped to advocate for when it wasn't popular. And he pushed Episcopal schools, mainly Beauvoir, NCS, and St. Albans, to become more intentionally diverse, not just to have a token or a few token African Americans to sit in the corner and feel proud about, but to have meaningful diversity across race, gender, across the spectrum of diversity. And that led to his dream, which he articulated in his lifetime, of a school like Beauvoir's, over in Anacostia, in an area where a school like Beauvoir is needed. And so, BWS, what do? We root boys in good so they can reach to be great. Root boys in goodness so they can reach the greatness, just like the Bishop Walker did. So how do we do that? Well, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, I love these words because they speak directly to what we do. I planted, Apollo watered, but God gives me. The one who plants and the one who waters have common purpose. Well, their parents planted them at BWS, and we work to water. We have chapel every Wednesday, Episcopal chapel. So they learn about God in the context of the Episcopal tradition. We don't evangelize. Not many of our children are Episcopalian, but they won't leave this school without a sense of something greater than themselves, something that they can draw strength from, and guidance from, and purpose from. And so we water. We provide 7:30 to 7 p.m. childcare for parents. We wrap our arms around the young people, but also their parents who we're in partnership with, and provide that so the parents can work and pick up other children from other schools, siblings. We provide 3 meals a day, make sure that the boys have everything they need to grow and be focused and not hangry at us as we try to water. We provide ample enrichment opportunities, arts, music. We also give the boys access to wonderful opportunities like sleepaway camps in upstate New York and New Hampshire. So in this area, we fill their life with new opportunities to see beyond what they typically see and typically experience in their environments. And so we offer those opportunities to the young men. We water them, root boys in good so they can reach to be great. The main way we do this is in that another part of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 9. We are God's servants working together. You are God's field, God's building. So we have a character education program that has a wonderful little makes a wonderful little acronym. KINGS: knowledgeable, independent, noble, generous, servant leaders. This is what we raised them to be. This is what we imagine Bishop Walker, John Walker, man to be when he entered these environments as a first and was able to be gracious, excellent, and warm and kind, and also push for justice and do what was right in the midst of what had to be very challenging circumstances. How does one develop the inner fortitude and the sight to be able to stand as one of one and move things forward? Could we imagine? He was knowledgeable, knowledge-able, having the great capacity to learn from anyone, anywhere, at any time, no matter what they looked like, no matter where they came from, no matter what was placed before him, curious about the world, knowledge-able. And so we water our boys. Their parents have given them up to us to spend time to help them become knowledgeable, intellectually curious for their entire lives. Knowledgeable, independent. We want them to stand in who they are no matter what pressures are around them, what peer pressure, what societal pressures, no matter what others think of them or expect of them, they ought to stand in who they are, who they know they are. They are independent. They're noble. They're good no matter who's looking or not looking. They do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. They're generous. They give of themselves freely. And one day they'll give of their time, talent, and treasure as you have to the school. They'll give that back to our school. Give it back to the world. Generously. They're generous. But most important of all, they see themselves as servant leaders. Servant leaders. Leaders in service of something greater than themselves. Not for pure ambition, not for power, for something greater than themselves. They have to be rooted in something greater than themselves. That may be God. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's humanity as a whole. Maybe it's astronomy. Who knows what it is? It's got to be something that their life is organized around such that when they aspire for greatness, it's always attached to something greater than themselves. And that's the most important law from we are God's servants working together, that they become part of the service that we as older folks have started and have invested in them, that they carry. And as they root themselves in good and reach to be great, they do it in service of God, of humanity, of something greater than themselves. And so that's what we do. That's what we do on a daily basis. And the only way we're able to do it, because we are a tuition-free school, is because generous people, good people like yourselves, give. And so I just want to say thank you so much, not only for those of you who visited or volunteered, which is wonderful to come and see the boys, engage with the boys, engage with our teachers, engage with our parents. But those who may not be able to get over there to visit, you get it. And even today, you'll get it. And I'm so thankful. Stephen and I are both so thankful for you seeing the value of this investment in these young men who we root good so they can reach to be greater. So as I depart and say thank you one more time for all of it that you've done for the school, I want to leave you with one quick story. Recently, we had a young man who had a rough day. He had a rough day, came in a little bit upset, kind of carrying that through his day. And at one point, he was enraptured in some negative self-talk. I'm this, I'm that. He was embarrassed about crying in front of his peers. And there's a mirror that Stephen loves a lot. There's a mirror in our hallway, and it's kid height, and all around it are these words. And it says at the top, look at who is responsible for. And then it has actions, words. It just shows a child what they're responsible for. And he stood in front of the mirror, and I rolled my arm around, and I said, "This is the boy that the Lord has made." And he laughed. And I said, "This is the boy that the Lord has made." And he stopped laughing. I said, "All this stuff around here, or what you can do with what God has made. These children are made of God. And we water and we root, but their growth and their success is of God. And we are hopefully servants of God and serving them. So thank you for joining us in that wonderful work."
He's like, feeling
True.